Hey y'all, welcome to a bright new world. I think our first order of business here is going to be do a little bit of classic tree punching. But after that we're gonna do a little bit of a wander round, see what's over in the west, and become fabulously wealthy. It had to be done. Friend? No, I'm not sure if we're gonna find a village anywhere in here. But I think if we can, that might be a nice place to set up our home. And if not, I think we'll just go in here a bit, a little bit away from the green forest over there. And oh, I did a little bit of research to find us a spicy seed with all the nice biomes. But I have not looked into the structures ahead of time, so it's a surprise to me as much as it is to you. Hello, mister. How's your day there? Good. Good for me too. Oh, I'll take those. Oh, no, nothing. I'll take the torches. Take the bread. Don't mind if I do. Melons. Tasty. Oh, I'll be taking that. Compact. Oh, well, isn't that sure of you over there? Little bit. It's a little bit blocky. And maybe we can plant some nice trees in the way. All right, I think we're gonna want to make a bit of a decision about where we're gonna be setting up. We have a few options. We have this sort of area up here at the top. Um, got a couple options. And there's like these right by the center of town. That over there. And then this sort of lower platform. And that that's it over there. I think if possible, I'd like to renovate a lot of the buildings here and probably change the size and shape a little bit, but preserve at least like the vague shape of them and colors used and stuff. So if possible, we're going to be kind of replacing one of the buildings that's here instead of constructing a new one. There is a lot of... The center of town is really weird. There's... All the buildings are kind of distributed along the perimeter almost. And this center of town area is like behind a cliff from that upper section. And then there's just a lot of empty space. So I think we're going to be filling a lot of this in here with farmland. And for the individual buildings, my thought process is I want to kind of preserve it. Like this one is really small. If it's shaped like this, and this is probably going to apply to some extent to all of them, but like if it's this big, it's definitely going to get expanded a little bit in some direction. But I'd like to... I don't necessarily want to preserve the wood log wall material, but I do want to try to retain the color of it, and I think to some extent we can use like cobble and a bit of gravel, but then also stuff like tuff and coral are going to be even closer to this like darker, warmer gray tone. So I think we're definitely going to be wanting to do a lot of that. There's some buildings that have this orange, or like there's some yellow up there. And that I think we can leave, maybe with the terracotta. Probably add a little bit more texture to it somehow, or change the color slightly. But then represent that as like some sort of stucco or something. And then the roofs are... they're right now they're all acacia, and I want to generally preserve the orange color there. But I'm not sure if it's going to be acacia. It still might be part acacia, but I think we might turn it into more like orangish, reddish bricks. So that might involve some actual brick block. That might involve some granite. Might involve some... I don't know. We might go oranger and put in some red sandstone. And then the other thing about them is, right now they're kind of at a 45-degree slope, but then also they've got some sections that are like at a slab slope like this. And it's like, I don't know, it's a little bit of a weird mix. It makes some of them kind of rounded off, and some of them just a bit different depending on the house. And I think we're probably going to want to, instead of that, standardize it down to more of a consistent slab slope. It's gonna be looking something like the top of that. This might be quite good actually, because this is just kind of a plain house. There's not really anything in it other than a bed. So it might be a good starting space. And if this is the same, this may be even better, because it's got a little bit more breathing room than those. We can modify our shape as we will. And, oh geez, we need to be clearing out some of these trees, I think. But yeah, this should be a good place to start, and we're gonna see where it goes from here. This is kind of our basic unit of house, And then maybe later we'll be copying some of that style into the other buildings across the town. So we're going to offload some of our possessions into the chest here, I think, and plop some of these down. I think we can leave a little bit of this interior stuff in place, but otherwise, as much as we are trying to retain the approximate form of the building here, I think this is gonna be a tear it down and rebuild it job, because it's really small. Almost none of the blocks are exactly what we want them to be. And also, I'm not really sure how to deal with this rounded shape. I think it makes sense in the context of this being like built out of just a bunch of logs stacked vertically, maybe, depending on how they're attached to each other, but that's not really the direction we're going to go with this. We're going to be turning it into stone. So I think one sort of editorial decision that we are going to make on these is that these are going to get their corners filled out, if nothing else. Alright, I've made some decisions about our build. Decided to extend our little pseudo circle into a rectangle. One thing that I wasn't sure about for a while was whether I wanted to kick it over that way or back this way, but I decided to set it the long way because I think the view from like this angle and these angles are pretty good, and I like it a little bit better than the full side-on view. And over here is where we're going to be looking at it from primarily. So you have this little outline, and for the primary block, we're going to be going for a mix of tuff and the acacia wood, I think. Might try some other things added to it, like cobble, mossy cobble, maybe dead coral, but I wasn't really feeling those when I tested them out earlier. So we might just be sticking with this. And then on top of this, we're going to want like a slab sloped roof. And I can't quite remember if I want to build it at this height or a little bit higher. You can see, we've got a box. We're going to swap out this door for a nicer color, since the orange is all going to be already going to be present on the roof. And then we can, we can say that we're going to knock out some windows here, not quite symmetrical. Maybe one back here. And then we're going to have a little one above the door, probably. But then, in addition to that, we're going to make a couple of these tough columns, or not tough columns, tough bricks, and do a little bit of a pillar at the corners. Might also add one right here in the middle of these sides. Haven't decided on that yet. That's an option too. And then to fill in the primary texture of the walls, compromise. Fill in the primary texture of the walls. We're going to be doing a mix of this tuff that's already here with some of this stuff. Maybe able to cheap out a little bit with that, but for now we can just put the full stuff in. So basically just going to go punch some of this out like that. Why not? Go for it. And we might be adding some more windows or other items over here, but we're gonna figure that out later. This should give us a good base to start from. I haven't quite decided what we're going to be filling in the windows with. I'm thinking some sort of wooden fence, probably spruce or maybe oak. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to fill in later. All right. So up here, what we're gonna do on the sides is place these right here like this, at the bottom of the block, so that we are able to later place some like scaffolding stuff in here in another type of material. I think probably spruce, and that slab isn't going to be in the way. So then we're going to continue on a half slab slope up from this, up like that, and then up to a peak in the center. And then this is going to be probably a trim of a different color, so we'll just extend the length of the building for now. We can just pop some stuff on like this. Do 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 do. Missed the rhythm a little bit there, but you can see got a roof. Simple as. Not quite, but you know, getting close. And then we can say that these aren't going to be visible from the top. We can knock that out, fill that in with some tuff. On the back, we can also pop some of this in. We should really be adding some of the alternate color as well. Ooh, yeah, this side needs a bit of texture on it. We can do that a little bit like that. One thing we can also do is turn these another way. I don't know if I like the look of that. It kind of accentuates the stripiness in a sense. Whereas that it just kind of looks like, I don't know, the type of stone it's made out of has like a little bit of a grain, vertical grain to it. And it, I think, blends in a little bit better. But I might change my mind on that. So we're going to see. And then also go up there and say we're going to do, I don't know exactly what height we want to do this, but we can make at least a little window up there. Could potentially even make a bigger window up there, but I think that looks a little goofy right over the door like that. But perhaps we can go for that over here. It's a little double tall window. Potentially we could even actually make it tall window. So we definitely have the space back here. So I'm not really sure about that. But that was very fast, but look at that. That's most of a house. What we need now is to put some trim over this to break up this shape, and some trim over here and some windows in. And a lot of that is very spruce dependent, I think. So our next step is to go on a little adventure. And over here, I do want to explore past this jungle. See it? Let's see it. Oh, dolphin. This, I don't know if this is an area that we're going to build in the future, but it is certainly a possibility. And then also, over here, oh my gosh. Okay, I knew this island was going to be here. I did not realize there would be that crazy spike up out of it. So yeah, this is another place that might be cool to build if we want to do it in the jungle, because it's kind of isolated, you know. It's not going to be merging straight onto other land, which might help clear the sight lines and isolate it a little bit. not completely sure that that's going to be necessary if it's in a jungle, because jungles are so thick anyway that they tend to block out the sight lines of stuff around them as long as you've got a bit of padding around you. But this is not our destination, because we are not after Junglewood today. No, no, no. We are going to be heading somewhere over to the east here, and I believe we will be able to find some of the things that we're looking for. Oh my gosh. Look at that over there. Alright guys, we are back from our big adventure. And done a little bit of cleaning out the inventory, a little bit of tree farming. And I think it's about time that we get to business on finishing up the details of our house. First order of business is obviously that our roof kind of looks like, well, it looks like that. So I've made us some spruce items, and what we can do is pop a little shelf like this down here under that. That's going to give it a little bit of support. And then we can pop the same thing over here. And then on the front, it's a little bit trickier because we've got this very hard gray versus orange line in there. We don't have a super great way to solve that. We can completely get rid of it if we put slabs down at this level, which we could do, but I don't think that looks very good. Up there, it's just kind of like a weird, mushy, rounded but not rounded. I don't know. Not feeling it for this purpose. So instead, we are going to make do with some slabs here at the top, and then here, stairs to get a little bit of extra coverage. And we can't put stairs here leading down into the bottom of this block. So instead, we're just going to fill it up with some trapdoors. And that's going to be making it look a lot better for us, I think, now. And then we also want to fill in our windows. But one approach we can do is these fences, and I quite like this. The color is kind of muted, it blends in, but you can see through it. And also, it's recessed, but you can still see it from a lot of angles, whereas if it's a trapdoor, you tend to get a situation where it's either flat with the wall and then it's just flat, or it's sticking out in front, which is extra weird, or it's like recessed all the way back there and then you just don't see it. So I think we're in a good situation there if we apply a little bit of that. I don't know, it is a little bit just bland here, so we can try piling some bushes around. And I think if we do it like this, it's going to be a little bit too symmetrical, and maybe even a little bit too overgrown. So we're going to see exactly where we go with that. But we can also spruce it up with a little bit of coarse dirt over here. We might want some of that on the inside as well. One other thing we've got is this rooted dirt from when we were digging up under the azalea. So we can also, I'm not sure exactly what kind of pattern we want to be doing, but we can extend that. And I kind of quite like the way this is going on. So if we want, we could even mix a bit of this into the remainder of the path. I don't know, that's a little dark. Maybe like that, and then there. So I don't know. I'll be messing around with that a little bit. I think over here is another option where we can spruce things up a little bit. I think this would be a really nice location to add a wheat field or a crop field of some sort, just because melons, maybe. This house it's kind of empty, kind of barren. Whoever's living here is probably just like a farmer. I think that's probably how we're going to interpret most of these small houses without a special workstation. So like it makes sense if they've got some land that they're running. So we can just start adding that in here, and I'm not sure exactly how far we're going to want to expand it out, but potentially could fill up a lot of this area. Oh my gosh, guys, I have just had such a time. I was having some crashes with OBS and changed some settings and changed the wrong settings, and it was recording at a really low fixed bit rate, and it was just a mess, man. So, have some stuff to catch you up on. Back from our adventure, lots of new things. Made some home improvements. If you look at this, got a fancy new path design. And it's a mix of coarse dirt and this rooted stuff that we got while we were digging out the azalea, and some spruce slabs. Might change this to mud later, but I do not have the material wealth for that kind of activity. Planted a whole field here. Got a dog. Hey, buddy. Still haven't named him. Ended up detailing out with some of these mangrove leaves we brought back home. So I think they look quite nice. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to want to use them for trees around here or for just like vines like that, so I may swap them out still. For now, I think they look nice. In here, we got these sort of lurking back there. They're a little bit bright. I tried putting them out in the front, and it was just a little bit too much color, too much contrast. The top wanted to do something with like brick or red sandstone, and we might still do that, but for now I've cheaped out with granite. So we have lots of it available, and extended the path all the way out here. So yeah, look at this place, man. Been busy. All right, I think our time today is about coming to a close. You'd look at that. First off, we gotta give some head pats and scratches to Frankie. Good boy, Frankie. Have a munchie. Oh, someone's a good boy. Have another munchie. No? Okay. And we are going to be heading into bed. Lovely, lovely having you all here. Go ahead. You, sir. You, sir. Lovely having you all here. Go ahead and come back on the next one if you enjoyed our renovation project so far. Thanks for watching.